Hello, my name's Sam from Aldous Systems, and in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to integrate a 2N IP Verso into ELAN using the methods that are described on the integration notes that are provided in the ELAN Management Cloud. This video is aimed towards integrators who may be new to IP intercoms, or even an existing ELAN dealer who may be transitioning from a particular intercom model over to 2N but not sure how well 2N integrates in with ELAN. The content in this video is also covered on our 2-week training course as part of our 5-step onboarding program to ELAN certification. The link to our training courses is in the description below this video. In my setup, I've got a 2N IP Verso with a touch inductive keypad, an ELAN SC100 controller, and an ELAN ITP 8-inch touchscreen. Integration of the Verso is relatively simple. There's a very informative integration note on the ELAN Management Cloud. As you know, I'm not much of a reader, but I've read through this document, so you don't have to. First thing to do is set up the Verso ready for integration into ELAN. I've factory defaulted the Verso here, and I'm going to input an admin password, and then go straight to the directory. In the directory, I'm going to create a user and name that ELAN. This can be anything you want. Under user phone number, we have to put the IP address of the controller. If you hover over the text field, you'll get information on the valid SIP details this field would accept. It says here it'll accept SIP:200 at an IP address, which is what I'm going to use. So I'm going to do SIP:ELAN at 172.16.25.7. You can put any name in the place of ELAN, but I'm going to use ELAN as per the integration note. All other fields can be left blank. Now we can move on to the Services tab. In SIP1, you can leave the display name as is, and we can change the phone number. So I'm going to change that to front gate. Hasn't got to be a phone number. Then we put the IP address of the controller in the domain field. So once again, 172.16.25.7. And we can leave the authentication unchecked. SIP proxy is the intermediate point for the SIP elements and is what routes the calls to devices on the system. SIP is the session initiation protocol and is used for initiating, maintaining and terminating communication sessions that include voice, video and messaging applications. This is also known as setting up and tearing down SIP sessions. SIP can be carried using TCP, or the Transmission Control Protocol, or UDP, the User Datagram Protocol, on ports 5060 and 5061. TCP UDP port 5060 is commonly used for the non-encrypted SIP transmission, and 5061 adds a layer of TLS, or the transport layer security, to the connection, which encrypts the audio and connection details. This is also known as SIPs, or Session Initiation Protocol Secure. The device that you set up must support SIPs if you want to use that feature. For this demonstration, I'm going to follow the integration note and just use the standard SIP port 5060. We then tick registration enabled on the SIP registrar and put in the IP address of the ELAN controller again. So once again, 172.16.25.7. We then input the SIP port, so 5060 in registrar and backup port, and then we can leave the expiration time as default and press save. We then head over to the calls tab and make sure that SIP1 is set to automatic for the answering mode. If you're using 2N mobile video or 2N answering units, make sure you set the SIP2 and local calls to automatic as well. On the audio tab, we need to uncheck G.722 and make sure PCMU, also known as G.711, is checked and set as the highest priority. You can also leave PCMA checked as well. These are just audio codecs the Verso can use, and the one ELAN uses is PCMU. PCM is pulse code modulation, and the U determines the law. PCMU uses the mu law, which is used in North America, and PCMA uses the A law and is used in countries outside North America. ELAN is an American product, and as per the ELAN integration notes, uses PCMU. PCMU sets the audio quality to 64 kilobits per second. Now we move on to the hardware section on the Verso and make sure the ELAN directory user is assigned to the button in the Verso. So we go to buttons and add a user to the main button press. The integration note mentions you being able to use the Motion JPEG video stream by adding the generic URL camera stream. I'm going to use this method in the video. In the HTTP API, under Services, I'm going to set the camera API to unsecure connection type and no authentication. Now we can head over into Configurator. The integration notes say to add the camera stream first, so I'm going to follow along. In Configurator, I'll go to Video and add a camera source. I'm going to add the generic URL video camera. I'm going to copy the stream path that's in the integration note and paste that into the properties of the generic URL video camera. And I'm going to input the IP address of the Verso as well. The driver hasn't told me the connection status, but if I go to my viewer and go to video, we can see the video stream. So let's now add the Verso to the system. Under the messaging tab in Configurator, I need to add an ELAN SIP server in the communication device section. Once the SIP server is brought in, it will search the network for SIP enabled devices. So I'm going to click away from messaging and click back, and we can see the Verso has been brought in automatically. The Verso's now got a status online. Now we need to set the video in the properties. We can't leave it as built in as per the integration notes, so we select the drop down and select the camera we brought in a minute ago. We can select any other camera as well in the system if you wanted to as well. So now we can configure the switch relays. Back in the Verso, I'm going to go to Hardware and Switches, and in there we can create DTMF codes to input on the viewer interface to unlock the gate. DTMF is the dual tone multi-frequency, and these are the tones that are generated when pressing buttons on a keypad and are transmitted down the voice frequency band. So I'm going to input another code along with 00, so I'm just going to put 1234. And then in Configurator, I'm going to now go to Messaging and go to the Verso under Intercom Devices and select Options. And here we set the Intercom UI to have an open button. So I'll select Output 1 and then choose DTMF in the list and name it Open. So before we have a look at the UI, we need to create dial plans and assign them to the system modes. On the viewer instance in Management Cloud, I'm going to go to Settings and Advanced and put in the default password of 1234 and select Intercom Global Settings and then go to Door Station Dial Plans. We're going to set up what devices ring when the intercom is pressed. So I'll press Add and create a dial plan, one called Home. And in the Tier 1 section, I'm going to put the touchscreen in that group. So my ITP8. I'll create another dial plan and I'm going to call it Away. And I'm going to put my mobile phone in that call group there. Now I need to assign the dial plans. When I click Dial Plans, I've got System Mode and then the intercom. It will call a default dial plan out of the box. We need to assign this to Home that we created and then change the system mode to Away and select the Away dial plan as well. So when the system mode is changed on the home screen, certain devices will ring based on the dial plan setup. That's done. We now can show the intercom on the viewer interfaces. In Configurator, I'll go to Interface and select the ITP and expand the options and then go to Intercom. You can either put the intercom as the only interface option or choose Auto, which will display the other intercom devices on the system. So you can do, say, internal paging between interfaces. So I'm going to choose this and enable it on my ITP and enable it on my mobile device. Back on the viewer on my ITP, I can now go to the intercom and I've got the option to call a group. So if I had multiple answering units, for instance, on the system, I can do a group call. Then there's stations where I can call individual stations. So if I need to tell the kids dinner was ready, for instance, and they're on the west wing of this house, I can do so. I can create a video call, an audio call, I can do paging, so the options for audio and video will be on the receiving panel, or I can just monitor the panel, which is going to require a lock code, so you can't just be spied on. And then we have door, where we can monitor the intercom and unlock the gate. If I select the intercom and press monitor, it starts a call with the intercom. I'm just going to turn the volume down to avoid any feedback. And I've got the option to switch on the mic should I want to, and also unlock the gate. When I press gate open, it asks for a code. This is where I'll put in the DTMF code that I created earlier. So I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then followed by star, and the relay closes on the Verso, signalling that the gates are opening. So now we can do a test call. So my system is in home mode. When I press the Verso call button, it's only going to call my touchscreen. And when I answer, I get the same screen as when I was monitoring. And I've got two-way audio and the ability to unlock the gate. If I now put the system in away mode and then call, my mobile phone's going to ring and the touch panel won't. The phone call will be a native Apple phone call as well. When I answer, at first it's an audio call, and then I've got a shortcut button to the ELAN app, which then creates the video call, creating a two-way audio and the ability to also unlock the gate. If you just want a button on the answering unit to open the gate without having to put in a code, we can bring the Verso relay instance into the input-output tab. In the input-output tab, in configurator, we go to relay outputs and add a new output controller. And in there is the 2N relay control, and then press OK. In the properties, I'll put the IP address of the Verso, so 172.16.25.110. In the Verso, we go to HTTP API, and we can set the switch API to unsecure, connection type, and no authentication. Then go back to configurator, and with just the IP address in, we can right click on relay 1 output and set the input to be on. And then the intercom now beeps, signaling that the relay is closed and the gate will be opening. But I want a little bit more security, because someone could know the API commands and type that into a web browser and initiate the relay without authentication. So in account 1 on the HTTP API, I'm going to enable the account and put in a username and password, so admin, and Aldous systems, and tick the control switch access in the list below. If I now go back to services and set the switch authentication to basic and go back to configurator and try and turn the relay on, nothing's going to happen. It's now got a little bit of protection with a username and a password, so let's put the properties in. And if I try the relay again, it now works. Now we've got a couple of ways to open the gate this way. If I go back to messaging and expand the options for the intercom and select output 1 as relay 1 on the Verso instance and set it to a momentary type, so the relay will close and open itself in under a second. If I go to my touchscreen and monitor the intercom and press the gate button, it quickly closes the relay and reopens it. But I can also press and hold it to hold the relay closed for up to 5 seconds, or however long you've set the relay in the Verso. So your customer might like that option. Alternatively, we can create an event map to automate this for us. So back in configurator, I set the output type to event map. So basically program the relay to do what we want. In the event mapper tab, I'll go to event maps and add a new event map. I'm going to call it gate open. In the event, I'll select intercom and the intercom in the event groups, and then user output 1, which matches up to the messaging tab output properties. press OK, and then that's the event created. In the Actions tab at the bottom, I'll go to Add, and then select Outputs, and select the Verso Relay Out 1, and turn output on. I could also put a 5-second delay and turn the output off, which I do like to do because I know the relay will reopen itself. But it should open itself based on the length of time you set in the Verso switch tab, so 5 seconds. Let's initiate a call from the Verso to my mobile. So first of all, I need to put the system in away mode, and then I'll make the call. My mobile calls, and I open the app and get two-way audio and one-way video, and the gate release, which when I push closes for 5 seconds. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope it's of some help to you and also clears up any questions to integrating 2N into ELAN. As said at the start of the video, if you wish to attend one of our ELAN training courses to become a certified dealer, there's a link in the description below. Take you to our website where you can sign up. Thank you for watching.